told you, Mateo. How are you doing today? Yes? Oh, well, like I can't see like your eyes here. Like it just looks like you're just. Anyway, welcome to tonight's stream where I've labeled it so deceptively as I am Q, but not that Q. And there is actually a story behind that. So I'm kind of letting things tick up a little bit, get everybody kind of settled, and then maybe we can talk about it. But in the meantime, we've got somebody who is playing the first game, so to speak, where Mateo has shown up and has at least decided to participate in this evening's stream, which is cool. Thank you for coming back. Um, you should definitely click the little thumbs up. So anyway, um, I don't know. I just kind of felt like maybe, uh, like last night, I tried to do a bit of a discussion, and it was very scattered and very meandering, and kind of felt like at this point it was worth um, having a new day and a new conversation. So, maybe one that was a little bit more interesting to people. Uh, so here we are. I'm like, there's one more thing that I need to get situated so that we can see it. Because as we already know, I will show the chat in real time. And for whatever reason, my display has kind of decided to be a little bit annoying. So bear with me. I guess we'll move it to the top. Then we will move this to the top. I've been playing a little bit with like the settings for the stream and stuff over the last couple of days. And I guess it's just been a little bit like, I guess awkward is the functional word for what I'm doing here. It's just always awkward, always gonna be a little bit strange. But, hopefully I'll get it figured out. You know, maybe eventually I will get, like, some wealthy benefactor will decide that I deserve some investment enough for me to pay for somebody to set it all up for me so I don't have to worry about it anymore. So, anyway, um, let's see. Like, what should we talk about first? So, I am Q, but not that Q. Uh, so, what that's referencing is actually uh, a nickname that I have. And the nickname is just the letter Q. So when that came about, it was just because over the course of time, over the course of my life, whatever, I've been using the same user ID on pretty much any platform. Like if you were to Google that particular user ID, like the first three pages of search results are generally related to me or different things that I've done. So it's like my .com and the music that I've created and collaborations that I've done, writing that I've published, all sorts of stuff, right? So spinning off of that name, what ended up happening is like that name starts with the letter Q, and eventually it just got shortened by people who knew me. Some people call me by that name instead of my actual like given name, but ultimately people would start calling me Q, especially within like the health and wellness community. I was called Q. Um, a lot of people felt like it was pretty fitting because thematically it makes sense even from the perspective of the whole Mama Lynn thing because ultimately it was a tangential reference to the Star Trek character. And I know that I've already uh, at least made some mention of that here on the channel in a previous session where um, I started musing on the idea that whoever created and released the concept of, QAnon on 4chan was doing so under the concept of like the mischievous nature of the Q character in Star Trek. And I would be very, very curious and interested to learn if that actually was the case, and if so, um, determine whether or not they were happy with the results that they've seen so far. And I would be very interested to kind of figure that out, but I also know that like there's absolutely no way that anybody's going to come out and claim that right now, or even if they did come out and claim that they were the origin for that, like there would be a lot of proof that they would have to create in the pudding before anybody would believe them. So um, the funniest thing about the whole QAnon thing was that when everybody started talking about Q, I immediately was like, crap, because that's my common nickname within the health and wellness community. So I definitely, like, I started, I started making that statement of, I am Q, but not that Q, um, when people would introduce me within the community. So there's that. Anyway, on uh, another side note, other side of things, what have you, on Saturday night, we had an ongoing conversation with somebody who felt most comfortable emailing me, and as a follow up, I just wanted to, I guess, vocally and in video, uh, tell that person that their recent update in email was positive, like, and I'm very um, happy that they're making positive movements in their life. Because essentially, what we were talking about on Saturday was how to navigate the severity of like social anxiety and shyness within the context of COVID. And so we talked about that pretty extensively. And ultimately, just based on the conversation and my analysis of it, like I have recommended that they pursue more focalized professional help. And at this point, they've at least stated that it's on their to do list. It's something that they're seriously looking to put on the schedule. And I think that even though that sounds really non committal, I think it's really a positive moment to recognize within the context of turning around the severity of your mental health. I'm not going to sit here and say that mine's perfect because it's absolutely not. And I still have to pursue assistance and support in my own personal life in that same category, but I can also highly definitely I recognize that being willing to be introspective enough to recognize when you are no longer able to be uh, the primary um, source of assistance for yourself. I don't know if that makes any sense, but essentially, I think we all want to be self reliant and we all want to believe that we've got our shit together. So that moment when we like officially say, okay, I recognize the fact that I cannot progress through this issue without at least some assistance, I think that that's a very important step in a, like the effort to turn around a serious situation. So I wanted to recognize that. I feel like I have kind of bad timing when it comes to when I decide to do this because I usually target, the same general time frame, but it seems to also be when certain people get hungry and want to make dinner. And it's distracting. Like I always go, oh. So like now it smells like eggs and toast in the room that I'm sitting in right now. But this is life. Yay for eggs and toast. And yay for Mateo ignoring me. That's your song. Just for you. I'm like, if we just sit here and we just whatever, I'm gonna just talk about whatever. So, yeah. Okay. Well, since the title is referencing QAnon in its way, it does kind of lead me to another realm that I've found fairly fascinating recently in regards to like current events and what we're hearing about in the news and stuff. So, I have been asked here on the stream before if I had concerns about the election being overturned, and I had, unequivocally stated that I was not concerned about that at all. But I have been paying attention to, the news conferences and, the analysis that people have been doing in regards to like the Trump legal team, um, and just kind of the different individuals, and they're literally melting down, such as Giuliani. Um, that Sidney Powell lady, oh my goodness. Like, there's a part of me that wonders if their general families are watching this and are 100% on board behind them, or if their families are the same as like a lot of my family is, where they recognize the alternative opinions that other family members might have, but because it's family, they just kind of decide, I'm not going to have that argument. And so they don't. Whereas if it was a stranger or, more of a casual acquaintance, they might go to task on it. The whole thing with Chavez, like, when she started talking about that on national television, like we had just watched Giuliani melt for 15 minutes, And I was watching it through David Pakman, and in real time, David Pakman kept asking, like, is he bleeding? Is his head bleeding? And I thought that the dude sounded sick. So, and now I'm distracted because it smells like something's burning. So I'm gonna go make sure that the oven has been turned off. So, 1 second. Come on, kitty. Dude! It was starting to smell like burning. Yeah, so go over there. It's like bright red. I'm like, holy crap, man. Definitely. You gotta figure out a way of figuring that one out. Doop, 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 doop. So I have to be a little bit careful because my partner had accidentally left the stove on. So it was smelling a little bit like burning, right? Yeah. So hopefully it'll cool down and we'll be good. Anyway, where was I? So I was watching David Pakman. He's talking about how Giuliani's melting and like wondering if he's bleeding. I think that we're about to watch Giuliani have a real time cardiac event on national television in this press conference, just based on the way that he was talking and sweating and like all of this stuff. And then we have this lady show up, and it was like, I honestly had never heard of her before, never um like, and I'm pretty sure now that I've kind of heard more about her that the reason why I haven't heard about her is because I won't watch Fox News for anything. Like, I won't even watch it for entertainment. So at best, I would end up getting like a tangential exposure to her, and I hadn't yet. So the thing that I found interesting about that the most, though, was that she's been talking about this particular conspiracy theory about elections and stuff for a while. And then they give her this national platform, and then she goes and, has a beef with Tucker Carlson and, starts getting all whatever with the general Fox channel. And then she gets pulled off the team, like, and the whole time I'm sitting there going, how is this grown woman fallen this hook, line, and sinker for this conspiracy theory? Like, I understand what she's talking about. Like, I mean, let's just take her at the word that Hugo Chavez was directly involved with the development of the software that was used for the counting machines. Okay, fine. Maybe down in Venezuela, he used his political influence to make sure that to guarantee the elections that they were having in his favor. I'm not going to sit there and say he did or didn't. I could You could tell me that, I would believe you. Like, it doesn't really hold a whole lot of weight to me. The place that it disconnects for me is this idea that him making that choice to manipulate it in Venezuela automatically means that we had access to manipulate those things here in the United States and had the access and the information from that choice of Chavez in order to make that happen. It was just so far fetched to me. And like just the idea that like we're watching these poor like movie impressions being made on a national television stage. We're watching conspiracy theories get spread. We're watching people sound like they're about to start crying because they are so emotionally wrapped up in the theory that they're spinning. I wasn't surprised at all that she got fired. I was surprised that they didn't cut away from the conference in the first place. But I do know, like, that might have been totally, um, the choice of the source that Pacman was using. Because he did have to pop around a few times, like the streams got killed on a couple of different resources he had used. And in case anybody's curious, the reason why I opt to watch that kind of thing through people like David Pacman is because I like having the commentary. And it seems to just kind of really help me feel like I'm connecting with the information. Man, now like I'm also trying to like actually get like my unemployment going. And one of the questions that my state asks apparently is are you filing for unemployment for reasons related to COVID-19? And like such an ambiguous question. I didn't lose my job necessarily because of COVID. Where I'm at in regards to my job hunt and how I can make a living or whatever is related to COVID. And I'm concerned that if I mark down yes and then they try to pursue that information from my previous employer, that there will be like a disjointedness um, where, where they have let me go for the reason that they let me go. I mark it as COVID related as well, and then because of that inconsistency, they say I can't have the benefit. It's a confusing question to answer. Just the same as they ask a question if you're self employed or an operator of a business, and it's hard to answer that question because if you're working as a delivery person, then it's like, okay, well, technically, but I don't. Come on, cat. I mean, what do you do with it? Now I have to figure out, how do I classify what I do for a living? My phone keeps vibrating with like notifications. Makes me feel a little bit guilty because a lot of them are for like grocery delivery that I could have done today, but I opted to not do delivery today because I spent a good chunk of time today like at the doctor's office. And like yesterday's stream was about like chronic illness, and it was very scattered and very disengaged. I mean, like there was no one like interested in the conversation, which was kind of a bummer, but I mean, I'm sure eventually we'll have the conversation about chronic illness. But I ended up seeing a new type of physical therapist and a pain specialist today. Um, I mean, the pain specialist is my routine pain specialist. The physical therapy was a new variety of physical therapy. I already see one type of physical therapist, and now I'm going to be working with another one in conjunction. And a lot of it comes down to like concerns um, over something that's been progressively happening to me over the course of essentially over the course of COVID. And I don't really like, it's been really weird and has also contributed to some confusion, including like generating enough concern where I ended up getting a COVID test at one point. And that's because they're neurological problems. And when you are looking at something like COVID, where it talks about like you could have neurological symptoms and it has been shown to impact people's nervous systems, and then you start showing new profound neurological issues, it starts to become super concerning for everyone, especially like in these moments where especially when you've already been diagnosed with something that could be the cause of it, but it also doesn't seem to correlate with anything, and so, it's just like this big old question mark. So that's what I got to spend my day today doing, and by the time I was done talking to all these people and being open and honest about what I was dealing with and everything, it just kind of got to the point where I was exhausted. And I was cold. It was so cold. It was raining and like 45 degrees maybe. And I just thought, I can't deal with this today. So I didn't. But then I started getting paged for grocery orders that were worth like $45, and it sucks because it's like I really should be pushing, and I will be shopping tomorrow because it's the day before Thanksgiving, and I'll probably even shop on Thanksgiving because my family canceled our Thanksgiving, but it's clear that people around us haven't canceled their Thanksgiving because I've been delivering turkeys across town. So, like, I don't really understand what we're doing right now. Like, I feel like I could walk out into the space, proclaim myself to be Q, and there would be people who would believe me. Like, it wouldn't be that far of a stretch for somebody to be like, "Oh yeah, Q is definitely this random chick in Nebraska." Like, that makes sense, right? Like, I guess, whatever. But like, so there's a part of me that feels like I should just go with it. I should just play with that and see what happens. And the reason why I feel like I should just play with it and see what happens is because everybody else seems to have this, want and disregard for taking care of our community or making sure everyone is safe, or Omaha is completely on the wrong side of where we should be from like a disease spread and all of that stuff. Things are getting out of control, and they're getting out of control in a way that does concern me in regards to like the treatments I'm trying to obtain right now. And one of the things that I said in my pain management appointment today was that like I'm trying to lock down a couple of things that I know will help before you shut down the city again and before you stop doing these procedures again, because the at the beginning of this year I had a procedure done and it was really successful, but when it's a kind of thing that I have to do like every 3 months, and after 3 months and I wanted to get it redone, I couldn't because COVID had shut down all the clinics and all of the procedures except for emergency surgery, while helping some random chick whose pain is just super severe or whatever, making sure she doesn't cry when she gets out of bed every day, isn't considered like an urgent life-threatening manner, so they don't put you at the top and they don't give you a space in the procedure room. So I had to wait way longer for that. And so now, it'll probably be December before I can get that treatment, which means that it'll have been delayed by 8 months. So it's like I'm starting all over. So like the therapeutic nature of it is basically scrapped, and I don't know. There's a part of me that's like really defeatist about it. Like, why wouldn't we just chase a bunch of conspiracy theories and make things as crazy and interesting as possible, because we only live once and all of the reality is just bullshit. So like, why wouldn't you just try to glom on to something that engages your brain and brings out your creativity? And there's a part of me that, and it's like I skip back to like Y2K time when everybody was worried that the computers would all shut down and reset, and that the entire grid would go down, and we'd have to rebuild our entire infrastructure from scratch and all of this stuff. Like back then, I was like 17 years old and I was ready to burn down the world, and I was just kind of like, great, like let's live by candlelight for a little while and maybe people get over themselves a little bit. I don't know. Sorry about that though, because I realized that I hadn't taken my evening doses of some things that I meant to take right before I came on stream. It's my trusty little, like, pill crusher. Yay! Anyway. Let's see, who's in the peer counseling today? all these notifications, but nothing ever of like true merit. I got a message on LinkedIn that says, my company is hosting a fully digital AI for retail, supply chain, and marketing conference with 1,500 enterprise execs and technology leaders. It's April 7th through 8th, 2021. Any interest in speaking or being on a panel? I don't know why they're contacting me. I'm happy to be on a panel, but like, so I guess since like pretty much this is just me talking to myself again and like I don't know. Um to give some context as to why somebody would send me that message, like I'm in my late 30s and I've had a couple of career restarts, as it were, in my life. And the job that I just left, I was focused mostly on the implementation of DocuSign environments. So if you are familiar with DocuSign, a lot of people are at this point. It's a digital document signing solution, and it's also a contract management, um, documentation management platform. So you can keep everything organized and do reporting on it and things like that. So my professional focus for the last year or so has been in implementing DocuSign environments. Prior to that, I was working in a logistics office for grocery distribution. And prior to that, I had been working on user experience designs for cloud products, AI, and conversational chatbots and stuff like that. So, one of like when I was doing the conversational design, um, my main focus was in like text messages. So, like when you are working with a company that you buy goods and services through, and they might do like a text message survey to see if you're satisfied with your experience today. Like that was my job, was to write those surveys and the responses that the machine would give you, and the options that you would receive and all of that stuff. So like in my LinkedIn profile, I have, references to working on conversational AI and stuff like that, but I am certainly not an expert at all. Like, I did not go to college for it. I learned, hands on what few things I do know about it. I'm sure I'm already behind in the industry. I have some what I would say are pretty, impressive, like professional connections just because of the conversations I've been able to have. But from the perspective of like sitting on a panel and giving my opinion on it or whatever, like there's a part of me that's tempted to ask the question, like, why are you asking me? Like, what kind of panel are you asking me to be on? Like, because if they want me to participate from the perspective of somebody who is, kind of independently, analyzing this stuff, I'd be okay with it, but I'm concerned that like what they're really looking for is somebody who can give like a lecture based on, tried and true study concepts, and like that's like the biggest hurdle for me, is that kind of within the context of like my medical situation and everything, like going back to school and learning a whole bunch of stuff right now is just not something that I can actually accomplish. Um, and we're, talking about some pretty significant changes to my ability to even have a job, let alone, be really cognitively challenged by the job that I might be working. So it, I don't know, like it's sad because like I would really like to be involved in that way and have people be interested in my opinion, but I know I'm probably just way, way underqualified to be doing so, which sucks. Just trying to figure out, like our state unemployment thing makes you select a close fit to the kind of job you're looking for right now. We are going to say document management specialist. That makes sense. Not a veteran, not a caregiver, not a wounded member of armed forces. I don't know about anybody else, but I know my driver's license by heart. And now I have to give them my banking information. Where, oh, where did Mateo go? He got so quiet. He showed up and then he left. I'm like so anxious about money and just it's overwhelming sometimes. Just trying to make sure that you have what you need to have and I don't know, man. Why didn't it? Shoot, like I don't. It's asking me a question that I don't know the answer to. I worked very briefly for a company and I was there and then I had to quit because I got offered a job. Well, I found my resignation letter for the job they're asking me about. So, at least there's that. Sorry for the silence there. Shoots. That's good to know. I am so quiet right now. Sent out some emails, checked a few things, checking my peer counseling, and Mateo has abandoned me. So maybe I'll just narrate the rest of my unemployment claim. They're now asking me about my self employment, which is, gig work and sucks, but. hate the fact that I'm doing this in Nebraska, though, because the thing that sucks is that most states waived the, responsibility to provide work search and all of that stuff, but not us. We get to do it all. And I get to try and prove that, there's just so many things that you could be doing. But anyway. Um, well, I've been sitting here for about an hour and I'm not too sure what's going on. It says I have a viewer, but I don't know who's watching, and I'm not sure who might be listening. And I know this has definitely been kind of off and on, boring, maybe a little bit interesting, not for sure. But I'm kind of tired, so I'm heavily debating whether or not I should just log out. Try again for hump day. I really want to listen to music. I also would love to do like a live react, like watch a video or something and literally not even be recording it and then edit it later, just be subject to the real raw footage. But that's probably pretty dangerous. I keep coming back here to look at like what other people are working on, and then I'm like, wait a minute, the whole point of my trying to find one for myself is that I want to I want to be able to kick people out. This one's got some really easily identifiable colors. This will be good. I will do this. It's still got that lag going though. It's too bad because I think it would be an enjoyable experience, but the lag is annoying. I don't know. I've been thinking about a few different things recently, and there's definitely been these levels of temptation to run off. It's really weird because I feel like other people have a higher tolerance for the weight, meaning not like the weight as in like the pressure or anything, but more, I guess it's kind of the same, but I mean more like there seems to be more people in a space that are like, I don't have this sense of ability to just kind of chill and um, let the chips fall. Like, I've been really keeping my eyes open, trying to see other people who are facing the struggle, trying to spot um, the reassurance that I'm not a stupid person and I'm not a incapable person, but I'm faced with a situation that is what it is and it sucks. Rumor has it that other people are facing similar situations, and I know that like Mateo, for example, is facing his own version. Um, but I just still don't see it like around me in like my immediate life. Like, and that maybe that's because I have, if all other things are failures, one thing that I have been successful at is not attaching myself to people who are, guaranteed to be a malfunctioning aspect of my life. Like, I hate the idea that I might be the most dysfunctional person that people know, as in, like, I might be the person who's sick, I might be the person who is struggling and, making people think things like, I'm so glad that I'm not her or whatever. But, if that's the role that I'm playing and everybody else is doing better than me, I'm at least grateful that I kind of don't take no shit. Not interested. I guarantee that if that person comes back into the same table, they will try to talk some shit. And if they do, they will get banned. It's already hard enough to work on this platform. I just don't want to deal with people telling me how to do puzzles. Like, I know how to do puzzles, thank you. For a second there, I was seeing the like the desktop sound like registering, and I thought it was my partner's commentary on his game in the next room, like registering on my microphone like it has in the past, and that it's not my favorite thing in the world. One of these days I'll be popular enough that we'll have a home where I'll have my own private office where I can soundproof and it'll be all mine. That day is not today. There we go.
maybe people just hate me for playing the way that I play. I don't really care. I have a song in my head and it's stuck. It's been stuck for like a day. It sounds nothing like what I just said. I could try to help them out, try to give them passive warning. They didn't take it. They can go elsewhere. I don't know, man. I like being the puzzle lady, but sometimes, let's see here. Well, I've been on here for about an hour and a half, and looks like nobody needs to talk tonight, so that's okay. I'm perfectly okay with people not feeling so confused. I know it kind of been off and on. Some some details out there, some details not so out there. I am Q, just not that Q. And maybe someday we'll get to the bottom of all of it. We'll get some good answers and be able to party a little bit with each other. But for now, I think I'm going to sign off. Uh, as always, I welcome anyone to email me at mamalyntq@gmail.com. Uh, that gets you straight into my inbox, and it does ping on my phone. So if you send an urgent message or you have a need or a question or what have you, you can definitely get in touch with me pretty much any time of day, anywhere I might be, um, and I can answer accordingly. Otherwise, my intention is always to touch on those emails when we get into the stream. So if you do choose to email me, if you do not want the content of that email to be sent out into the ether, as in read out loud to any extent, let me know. Otherwise, it will be part of the show, so to speak. Um, Please like, subscribe, uh, bump the numbers, share, send out carrier pigeons, whatever it is that you think is most appropriate. I know that the format of this is kind of odd and slow and not as exciting as some people are bringing, but it's basically like a talk show that, um, you know, we're here. We're here to be like, hey, you need somebody, you got somebody. And I totally. Apparently, one of my bookmarks is now defunct, and I accidentally brought it up. Good to know, though. Good to know. So we're going to go ahead and remove it. Delete. Anyway. So, like, I just outed myself a little bit because I went through a period of time in my inner webness where I played a ton of like online slots, and not because like I have a gambling issue, but because like at the height of some of my illness, I needed something to do, especially while sitting in the hospital. And one of the easiest things to do, and also one of the easiest places to find just general people who will be nice to you in like a chat room, is to go into like Facebook slots and play some random slots game and uh just kind of tell everybody, hey, I'm in the hospital and I'm trying to distract myself from it, so thank you for being nice ahead of time. And people just like, they pour out the love, and they're very supportive, generally speaking. So um one of the things that does happen though is like people get really hardcore about it, and so they would develop these websites like the bookmark that I just accidentally brought up. And so the bookmark that I brought up was focused on this this effort for people who, like when you play those kinds of games, what ends up happening is you can say, okay, so share this with your friends and your friends can get 1,000 free coins, that kind of thing. So what some ingenious person along the way figured out was that those links, while you share them to your friends list, if you share them publicly, they are accessible to the public. So you don't have to be friends with somebody for a person to gain the benefit of the free coins. So um, people started developing websites where you could submit your links, and then random strangers could go and click them. And then the website that I was using in that way had an auto collect method. So you could set it up to say, okay, so every 30 seconds, click the next link. And so you could just set it up and have it run through all of the submitted links in the last, you know, day, and collect everything without having to be really involved with it. And so that's how I would bulk up my coins for playing slots in the hospital. So I'm a little bit sad to see that it's gone defunct, but I'm hoping that it's more like they decided to revamp their website rather than like somebody filed a complaint or something like that and they got taken down, cuz like that would really suck, cuz for people who are in situations like I was, you know, really helped continue the distraction level. And I think as like, community or whatever, we kind of underestimate the value of silly games. It's certainly something that, like, when you look at it and, you're trying to build a better sense of empathy, or however you might want to put it, um, maybe that's like something to talk about at some point where, it's like as we advance our, medical care and our ability to respond to illness and disease, or conditions, or however you want to put it, the more likely it is that someone will have to spend time in the hospital this year, because a lot of like experimental treatments, or aggressive uh, response treatments or whatever, have to be administered in a hospital setting. And somebody like myself, where I have to go in for scans, and um, like I'm starting to move into the realm of, do I need to go to the Mayo Clinic and stuff? It's starting to get a little overwhelming just to think about. I like I've spent enough time. Like I've certainly not spent as much time in the hospital as probably uh like it's certainly not on the level as somebody who, is going through treatment for like cancer or something, but um I've spent enough time in the hospital to recognize, the sense of loneliness that comes with it, and the unfortunate nature of kind of my social life and the fallout of living most of your life without being able to freely socialize due to crippling anxiety. um, didn't really have a whole outpouring of friends to support me during the time that I was in the hospital. So I think sometimes it just makes it so I think about things a little bit differently, and I think about people who are facing stuff on their own, because it sucks. Anyway, that's like a totally bummer note to end on, but like that certainly wasn't my intention. So anyway, getting back to like what I was saying, like please, if you at all appreciate what I'm trying to do here and the nature of this channel and what, like the few people we've had conversations with so far, I would greatly appreciate it if you would share and promote the channel to people that you think would enjoy being part of the conversation or would be interested in posing some challenges to, the opinion maker, so to speak. In the meantime, I will continue coming back, being in the space, and being available for those who need to be heard and need to be able to find a voice in the ether, and hopefully won't let you down. So I appreciate, you know, everybody who does come around and, bots or otherwise. And, I'm sure we will eventually bloom into something better than we ever knew was possible. And I look forward to the day that our community is really, really fleshing out. Until then, um, follow me on Facebook, on Twitter, on Patreon, whatever suits your fancy, and we'll talk to you perhaps tomorrow, if not later this week. And there's that. All right. Bye bye, everybody. See ya.